Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Greetings, Spice fans! Silk City Hot Sauce is now sponsoring the Dorkening Podcast Network. Our craft sauces are made in Vermont in small, high-quality batches using locally sourced, farm-grown ingredients. Silk City Hot Sauce comes in a variety of heat strengths and killer flavors like Jezebel, Erotic Fever, Mango Madness, and Good Morning Jonestown. And don't forget our newest creation, Hot Syrup. Make no mistake, Spice fans, this is the queen of sweet heat. There's new and unique flavors coming out all the time. Best of all, right now, listeners of the Dorkening Podcast Network can go to silkcityhotsauce.com and use coupon code DORK. Not only will you get 20% off your order, we'll also throw in a free bottle of hot sauce. That's silkcityhotsauce.com. Coupon code DORK.
And actually, if you want free hot sauce, check the links in the show notes up above or down below. We are running a contest right now where we're giving away 2 packs of Silk City hot sauce. And all you got to do is put in your email to enter and then, share. You get a bunch of extra likes and stuff like that. So definitely check it out. And, I'm Leo Pond. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. And this is Splash Pages. We have an awesome show scheduled for you today. As always, Velvet Joker, how's it going, bud?
It's going great. And I just want to say to everyone tonight, Silk City Hot Sauce, Silk City Hot Sauce, Silk City Hot Sauce, and Silk City Hot Sauce. That was 5, 10, 15. Oh, that was $20. Yeah. I'm good. Okay.
There we go.
Hi. Good evening. Just doing my business, guys.
Don't do it on camera, though.
An explosion. Everyone ready?
Drew.
I have no words for how dumb that was. Hey, everyone. As you can tell, I'm very excited for the show tonight. And if you're wondering where I got this wonderfully bright green jacket, I made it. So very excited to talk about the storyline as it features one of my favorite characters. And, smoke be gone. Good show.
So you made that. How'd you make it?
I bought it and then I sprayed the shit out of it for 4 days. A lot of online neon green spray paint cans.
Nice.
About 8 of them.
And no cracking, huh?
To get the whole jacket.
Yeah. So, like Rich said, no cracking. Did you put any coating on it to stop it from cracking, or?
No, I just kind of sprayed and sprayed and sprayed. But it's just funny because the way that it worked out, it looks very comic accurate, but it's also very tattered and worn. And if you've ever read any Hitman, it's basically an analogy for Tommy's life. So it's fair.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. We read about it this week.
Oh, no.
Well,
what you have seen is maybe the tip of a very shit iceberg. But there is definitely some things that we have to get into before we get to that. So I'm going to take the sunglasses off for this time. So guys, how are you doing?
We're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Valentine's Day to all.
Oh my! I know. Thank you. Did Harley feel extra special?
Yeah. Well, it's actually we are going into our 8th year. That is also our anniversary. So
congratulations!
Wow.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
That's right.
8 years. That's big.
That's right. Saying it here. Me and the Harls. I'm taken. Sorry, ladies.
I'm going on 7 myself in April.
Nice.
Thank God.
Lucky
and then Leo, you're already married, so we already know.
Yeah, going on 10 years known Megan this September.
See, nerds can find love.
Yeah.
Yes, somehow someone will find you sexy. But guys, I do want to, before we really get into this fucked up and extremely awesome storyline. I do want to say I am coming into this a little sad. I did get some heartbreaking news. Rich, I'm sure you've seen, and Leah, I'm sure you see as well. It was a really sad end of the Super Bowl for me this weekend. And of course, I'm talking about, everybody, the news that the now late great director Ivan Reitman passed away peacefully in his sleep Saturday at the age of 75. They have yet to release the cause of death, but I'm glad it was that was natural. Seems to be natural causes. For those who know that name but want to know why you know that name, a lot of great 80s comedies and some great 90s ones were either directed by or produced by this man. Now, naturally,
well, Drew, let's not discount the 70s ones as well.
Oh, that's true. Thank you, Rich. Ivan Reitman is a known director. He got to start with the movie Meatballs, which started his long-term collaboration with Bill Murray. He followed that up with Stripes, the personal gem of my life, Ghostbusters, the movie that unfortunately followed Ghostbusters and did not do well at all, Legal Eagles. Mm-hmm. And then a string of other great comedies, a lot of them either having Bill in them or, funny enough, having Arnold in them. We have Twins, we have Kindergarten Cop, we have Junior, we have Dave. Excuse me, yeah, I was getting there. Dave, starring Kevin Kline, it was a great movie.
Classic Animal House.
Animal House was produced by him, but yeah, just as great. Same thing with Space Jam, also produced by him, and he gets a shout out in the film by Bill, who's in the film.
Mm-hmm. I believe he produced the original and the more recent remake as well.
Yes. Ivan also did he did Junior, which in my opinion is Arnold having a baby. Who knew that one? Then in the 90s, he was really more of a producer. He didn't really direct as much. He would occasionally direct the occasional movie. One of the personal gems that he directed in the 2000s was one of my favorites called Evolution, starring David Duchovny.
Oh, yeah.
Orlando Jones, Sean William Scott, Julianne Moore. And then he also did, which is probably, in my opinion, one of his worst, which was My Super Ex-Girlfriend with Luke Wilson and Uma Thurman and such. Like, don't. And then the last directed movie he did was No Strings Attached with Natalie Portman and Ashton Kutcher, or as I like to call it, the not so good remake of Friends with Benefits, which I feel is the better of the basically same movie. Ivan's last great thing, of course, was his thoughts and in some way stand-in for his son Jason's sequel to in the Ghostbusters franchise, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which for those who don't know, in the scenes where, and we can say this now because Rich has seen the movie and it's been a couple of months, so if you haven't seen it, I mean, why? That for the scenes with Egon Spengler in the last act, Ivan was the stand-in. So that just makes that scene even more touching. Nice. Obviously the Ghostbuster community, we are heartbroken, but his legacy lives on, and I myself will be conducting as much of the Ivan Reitman movies as I have movie marathon. So just any of our fans, if you guys have any favorite Ivan moments, any favorite Ivan movies, hell, if you just want to leave a quote for us that we can say, especially if it's an Arnold one, leave it in the bottom. Let us know.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Drew,
yes,
I know that they were working on, Ivan had revived a year or two ago, Triplets.
Yes, the long gestating sequel to Twins.
Right. That would be Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and oh Jesus, of course his name's escaping me, but I just want to say I'm gonna get you pregnant.
Oh my God.
You're right there, Tracy Morgan.
The great Tracy Morgan.
Oh God. Oh my God.
I thought that was a Travolta.
Yeah. I'm not my best Tracy. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's hard.
Drew knew what I was talking about instantaneously.
I knew what you were talking about. I was just, as much as triplets would have been fun, I don't know. I kind of feel like twins is good enough. Like doing a sequel, I'm like, oh no, here we go. I mean, it would have been entertaining. It would have been nice to see what Danny and what Vincent and Julius have been up to all this time. But sad, guys. But you know, he will live on. He will live on.
He will indeed. And you know, if you're looking to pick up the Ghostbusters movies, they are on sale on Amazon right now. The 4K for Ghostbusters 1 and 2 are $17.99, and Afterlife is $27.99.
You know the thing that, you know, I know that they're releasing that mega box set. You know, and I thought about getting it, but I was like, how many more copies of this movie do I need? Like, seriously.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew I'm maturing being an adult. Because the old me would not have asked that question. It would have been like, shut up and take this money. Now I'm like, do I really need another copy? Really? I mean, yeah, it looks like a ghost trap. Got all these deleted scenes.
And it's 4K.
I know. That's one more K than I need. I mean, if I got any more Ks, you know, I'd be getting a Kit Kat bar.
I mean, you know, we need to buy the 4K to get in line ready to do the 8Ks once that's prevalent.
Leo, I told you, you really got to stop pushing 8K. Okay, that's your fetch, man. You got to stop pushing it.
Hey, you know, getting ready for PlayStation 6. You know,
my dude, we're still mad at you about PlayStation 5. You know, we don't know what deal with what demon you made, but speaking up, we'll get to that soon. Trying to think if there's anything else. Honestly, I gotta be honest with you. That passing kind of dominated my mind. I do know in terms of news, fun fact, everybody, that the Wonder Twins are actually getting an HBO Max movie, which
something about that.
Yeah, which I'm surprised at, because I still remember when, you know, Wonder Twins was one of those Hanna-Barbera cartoons that was just dying to become a meme later on in life. But apparently they've been transitioning well into modern audiences, and the guy who's writing and directing the film is the same person who wrote the screenplay for Black Adam, the new, which recent trailer dropped, I believe, during the Super Bowl. You know, and I gotta say, it looks pretty interesting. Especially, it's nice to kind of see the Justice Society in a movie. I'm like, wow, this is, because, you know, we've seen them in television and in cartoons, but look pretty cool, man.
Atom Smasher coming through.
Atom Smasher. I mean, I never thought I'd ever say that James Bond would be a really good Dr. Fate, but like Pierce Brosnan, I'm like, okay, I'm interested.
Speaking of Dr. Fate, that trailer they dropped around the time, was it like during the Super Bowl or like right before?
Are you talking about Fate or Strange?
Fate. So there was a DC trailer with a bunch of clips of all the upcoming movies for this year.
Yeah, that dropped like the day before, I think.
The day before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
we saw some refined. It looked like the Flash's helmet was more solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And today, high-res images of Keaton's stunt double in full suit for Batgirl along with Gordon.
That's gonna be interesting. You know, I just hope that Michael Keaton's Batman, I mean, the guy's getting older. I mean, at this point, he should just be old Bruce Wayne by now. That's just the logical progression of Michael Keaton as Batman, which, believe me, I'm all for. Like, please. With Keaton as Batman, I just hope that it logically makes sense, and it's not just we're doing this for nostalgia's sake, you know?
Yeah, another oversaturation of the Bat.
Yeah, exactly. Because last time we discussed that, and I'm sorry, I'm still feeling the same way. Like, I don't really think anything's changing that anytime soon. Even some of the news, like, I do know that there's this new Batman series that's coming out. That's going to be illustrated by Derek Robertson, who is one of the artists for The Boys, and his artwork is stupendous and whatnot. And it's just, oh, hey, how can Batman stop an alien invasion? And I'm like, it's because he's Batman. Like,
is that Batman Fortress?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the writer is, I believe, is the guy who did the comic adaptation for Rogue One.
Yeah, Gary Whitta.
Yeah. So it's an 8-issue series. I mean, I'll definitely check it out when it comes out. But I got to be honest with you guys. I'm just kind of burned out reading comics in general. Lately, like, the only books I'm buying are anything usually involving Hellboy and Strange Academy. I really don't feel motivated enough to buy anything beyond that. I don't know. I'm just kind of feeling like burned out.
Drew, you realize what show you're on, right?
Yeah, I know. I said it.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's how I'm feeling.
So are you burnt out in comics in general, or just with the new stuff?
New stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. What they? You all can put your pitchforks down. Okay, calm down. Thank you. Fortunately, the redheaded one has saved my proverbial tuchus from the fire. Tuchus, Yiddish word there. Thank you. So my fact being is just, I'd rather just become reacquainted with older comics.
Right. Well, you do it for work as well, so you're constantly inundated with comics.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading these books a day or two before they're even on the stand. So, I'm seeing the trends, and I'm like, again, I'm glad that there are certain stories that are good. I'm glad that there's certain stories that are working, and I'm glad to see so many talented people, both old and new, getting the chance to work in this industry. It's, I'm very grateful for that. It's just, when you read older comics, I feel that there's this sense of creativity, wonder, and such that I don't see as much in modern day. And I think some of it is because a lot of comics is very heavily influenced now on television and movies. So there's that desire that you want to sync things up. And then, everyone's a nerd. Being a nerd back in the day, was a little, and I don't want to sound snobby, like, oh, I'm policing nerds. But, I mean, come on, man. Like, everybody's a nerd these days, So, but again, everyone's a nerd for what's on the screen. No one reads comics. Well, correction, not a lot of people read comics. Like we can mention Etrigan, only comic book people would know who the hell this guy is, which is sad because he's hilarious.
Well, let's have hope that, we're spreading the good word. We're trying to get more people reading comics. It's just some of the storylines are just amazing. I have to tell you, this Batman the Detective, which it was, I think, an 8-issue run, just came out as a graphic novel this week. This is a great read.
That's Tom Taylor, right? Tom Taylor, Adam Kubert, right?
Kubert. Brad Anderson. Let's see.
Yeah, that's the one where he's older and in Europe. He's essentially like a Ghostbuster.
It takes place. Well, he references Alfred passing, so I believe this takes place around the Tom King storyline.
Right. So it's kind of like an offshoot.
Yeah.
Of that. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, like there's a very touching moment where,
no spoilers.
Well, it's just okay, fine. Jeez,
You're ruining all your Leo's fun.
I'm not trying to ruin it.
There's just a note that Alfred leaves that just brought a tear to my eye, and he left Batman a present. It's just yeah.
That's impressive, because the last time you cried is when
last week.
Gragu left the Mando. So, that's a lot, man.
Dude, oh my God. Book of Boba. Oh, jeez.
I'm still catching up, so no spoilers, please. I do know that from what a lot of people told me, the last episode does redeem the series in a way. So I am interested to give that a try.
So I'm not going to say redeem the series. I enjoyed the series for what it was.
Right.
But I can see everything being tied together. All these
Sure.
series is one larger story.
Which is I think how it should be in a way.
Yeah, but I mean, I some people are looking at it just as a series. It's like most of the episodes weren't good because, it was more of a Mando show than a Boba show, and yeah, it's
I don't agree with that as well. They were just fleshing it out, and at the same time, they were doing good marketing.
Yeah, and well, good marketing, and
they told a complete story. I mean, one of the things that people complained about was the mods and their little bikes and stuff, but I didn't have a problem with that. I thought it was kind of cool and retro and throwback. And
so some people will just nitpick about anything. Like
nerds
if you're
are
eating a sandwich, someone's going to criticize, like, why is it not on rye bread? Why isn't that pumpernickel? Okay, why do you have mayonnaise?
Exactly.
Some people just like to be bitter for the sake of being bitter, and I was like, listen, unless you're a bag of super sour Skittles, get out of my face.
Right. And good evening, Victoria. Thank you
Indeed,
for
Victoria.
acknowledging us.
Hold on, milady. Also, guys, I need to tell you about something ridiculous that a friend of me told me about that happened to her at her job at Trader Joe's in Washington, D.C. That I have to be honest with you, I was dumbfounded, as this is probably the dumbest thing I've heard so far this week. I was on the phone catching up, and I mentioned her job, and she said, "Oh, we almost got robbed this week." I'm like, "Oh my God, what? That's horrible." Because you don't like hearing about this stuff. And she said that the person came in, they were shoplifting, trying to steal wine and stuff. And of course they noticed, because shoplifting, unless you're really good, you're gonna get caught. And so they're like, return the stuff. So then the person drew a crossbow. Yeah, the person tried to attack with a crossbow. And I asked her, I was like, "You're telling me not a gun, not a sawed-off shotgun, not a knife, not a sword, not a chainsaw?" And I just went through all the basic weapons that, in my mind, sound logical. People would have. Someone brought in a crossbow as their
the mini one or the full-size one.
Yeah, I didn't get to ask, but I was kind of wondering that myself. I was like, is it a Huntress mod? Is it like an old-fashioned, know?
And the big question is, was there somebody outside waiting with a trebuchet?
Fun fact, there wasn't, but I was told that they did have an accomplice. So I was like, that was the longbow.
Like I said, did he have the battle axe?
That's what I was just like. I was like, what raiding party is this? Like I
give me your mead and wine.
I was just like, are we really this tapped out of ideas that we must do store robbery with medieval weaponry? Like, what next? Vile knaves, give thee thy overpriced cookies and delights. Like, it's just
It could have been just, I mean, it is Washington. It could have been a couple dudes that were getting high during a LARPing event and said, "You know what? We need munchies. Let's go to the store." And
but that is why, Leo, that is why 7-Eleven exists, my dude.
So okay, the story's not over. So a crossbow is drawn, and then what happens?
Well, apparently the situation was diffused. The police were obviously called because this is still, a thing. And then they were arrested and whatnot. And I was like, what? And I said to her, I was like, what? No dragon? This is the worst. This is the worst quest ever. She laughed. I was just like, and this is before her shift. So she like walks in to see this. And I'm just like, oh man, if only you were 10 minutes later, you would have just come in and be like, well, okay, my job, someone held us up with a bow and arrow, so I'm going to go home now.
Roll
So,
10.
so everyone, if you have a really dumb story like that, that made you question, humanity in general, please leave it in the comments so we can also laugh about it too.
Yes.
So that's all I have. What do you guys have left?
Well, okay. Rich, I know you said no spoilers, but the Doctor Strange trailer, it's a trailer. Is a trailer
I didn't see it because I know the last trailer was supposed to be the end of the Spider-Man movie, which I didn't see still because I'm still waiting for a good copy to be available.
Right. No,
so that's what scared me. But I mean, I already heard it's not a big surprise. The voice of Patrick Stewart.
Yeah. Well, the bigger thing. Okay, everybody. So first things first, the new Doctor Strange trailer was probably one of the better highlights of the Super Bowl. Personally, I don't care. I'm not a sports person. I'm a scientist. But that being said, this movie is going to be fantastic. I mean, Sam Raimi finally coming back to the superhero movies, the horror angle. But the thing that's really amusing is that, like fans do, we now have the theories. So you have Patrick Stewart, who has always been constantly praised for his Professor Xavier portrayal, except in Wolverine Origins, but no one's perfect. And that was also CGI Stewart, so we don't count that. That's like, that's the Marvel version of holographic Tupac. So, but back to point is he acting independently, or is this a possible introduction to the Illuminati, which is what has everybody, including screenwriting nerds even, questioning is, could this be that sign? I mean, this is an organization where Doctor Strange is being brought before them. So it could be that. It could also be the Empirical. I don't know if you guys are Doctor Strange fans, but in Jason Aaron and Chris Bacalo's Doctor Strange run, well, there are other artists too, but still, the Empirical were an interdimensional group of soldiers and such that were attempting to eradicate all magic and all realities. Mm-hmm. So, very with science. So they had, armor and advanced weapons and stuff. So that could also be that. It's really hard to say, but it was nice to see Stewart's voice again. But I was just more impressed with Zombie Strange.
Zombie Strange. There looked like possibly a zombie Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
we are seeing, more and more of the What If characters, since the series was so popular, starting to bleed through into other factions of the MCU. So, the biggest thing being that in the first trailer we saw, the evil Doctor Strange from What If. So,
yeah,
and
also they're saying it was Superior Iron Man.
Honestly, it's a really blurred image. Some people are saying Superior Iron Man. Some people are saying
it's one of three people. It's either one of the Captain Marvels, Superior Iron Man, or Human Torch.
Yeah, but I'm sure that there could be others that we're not even considering too. So, again, it will all be revealed. I know I'm going to see the movie because they just had to say Sam Raimi directing. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Because my question is, this is great. Where is Bruce Campbell's cameo in the movie? That's what I want to see.
Well, if there's a zombie Strange and a zombie Wanda, maybe.
Hey, listen, I just want to point out, Ash did tangle with the Marvel zombies and ended up okay. So, wouldn't be too crazy. Just saying. And this is the multiverse, so you never know. But
anything could happen.
Yeah.
It's true.
A man with a chainsaw attached to his arm could end up in the movie.
If only we could all be as strong. So, yeah. So I, saw that. I think the other great thing to point out is that fans are going crazy over the actress who's playing Titania for She-Hulk. She's the actress. She was Tahani in NBC's The Good Place.
Yes.
So a lot of people were a little skeptical when she was cast as Titania because, she's a beautiful Indian actress. And you're thinking, like, how is she going to fill? Titania is pretty buff, but the woman's been hitting the gym really hard. And they recently, I think she posted like a selfie or some sort of image of her showing that she'd been, working out. And fans are for it, and it's especially going to be great because it's going to be her teaming up with Abomination, who, as we saw, is still very alive in the MCU, which is great. And Tim Roth definitely said he will be making an appearance or two. I think he said that they're going to be in all 10 of the episodes for She-Hulk. So that's very exciting.
Nice.
So very, very, very pumped there.
Speaking of She-Hulk, Drew.
Yes, sir.
Well, we're going to also have Mark Ruffalo in that series as a regular, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually just watched him for the first time last night in Shutter Island.
Oh, nice.
Which I'd never seen before, which is a great movie with Leo DiCaprio. And
it's a Scorsese film, right?
It is. I didn't know that till the end. And I kind of guessed what the sort of gist of the movie was because it's kind of a surprise ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, excellent movie. And Ruffalo did a great job in it.
Did you see him? What was that Magicians movie? Now You See Me, Now You Don't, or something like that.
Was that the one with Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg? Yeah, it's Now You See Me.
Yeah, you should definitely check that out. That's pretty good with Ruffalo and Harrelson.
Well, I also just want to say I think that the best thing is that there's I love the nods that they're doing, like the way that Mark Ruffalo's Bruce is dressed. It's very Bill Bixby from Incredible Hulk. And I've heard that there might be some breaking fourth wall awareness, kind of similar to what John Byrne's run of She-Hulk did, which again I'm all for.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It's very exciting. And I think the other thing that I also am very interested in is that I think out of all the series that Marvel is doing television-wise, I think the biggest wild card right now is Moon Knight. Yeah. And that can really go either way. And it's going to be really interesting because, again, Moon Knight is the wild card of the Marvel universe in my mind because he's the one character who's maybe a little bit more Batman than Tony Stark ever was.
Right.
And it's going to be, yeah.
Will we get Daredevil style violence? Netflix Daredevil show style violence?
I'm not going to lie to you, Rich. I mean, I don't know how much Moon Knight you've read. I mean, I've read some. He's a very violent character.
That's what I'm saying. Are we going to get that? Or are we going to get a Disney-fied version?
It's really hard to say, but I have to be honest. I really don't think we're going to get too much. I hate to say it simply because it is Disney. And as much as Disney does get away with certain, does allow certain things.
Sure.
It's not Netflix where you have a bit more leeway. It's not Fox where you could have that a little bit more freedom. It's still Disney, and Disney is always, they're always going to think, oh, what about the kids? I'm like, well, no offense. Like, kids should not be watching Moon Knight. I'm going to be 100% honest there.
Right.
But we'll see. I mean, I'm excited. I think Oscar Isaac said that he really loved doing the character. He feels like it's the first real case study of a character since Iron Man in a recent interview. So that energy is pretty interesting. It'll be interesting seeing how he fits into this evolving MCU, but
right. And how much will they delve into his mental health?
That's the thing is that they're definitely, from what images are showing, that they're definitely giving them multiple personalities a lot of leeway, and yeah, it should be pretty cool if they do it right. So, all right.
Well, okay, so I have a question for you guys. So Moon Knight comes out what, 25th?
It's March, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's make sure that it is the 25th. No, March 30th.
Okay.
So that's next on deck for Nerd TV.
Is it? Because
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't keep up anymore.
So we are gonna have including this week, no new Marvel show or Disney show for 7 weeks.
Thank God, we need a break. That's room for me to catch up.
Well, we're finishing off Peacemaker this week.
Yeah, but that's DC.
Yeah, Marvel. Yeah. All right. Listen, we can, Leo. I'm sure you can use a break.
Well, no, I know I could definitely use a break, but they've gone every week with something new. Even the off weeks, they've been releasing like Behind the Mask or whichever, the making ofs. So this is going to be the first, dead time without anything new. Right. Or are they going to just sneak something in next week?
You never know. You never know.
Okay.
Keep everyone rumbling. Leo, how's Superman and Lois going? I saw the first 2 episodes.
It's pretty good. I need to get caught up. Did I watch last week's? Yeah, I don't want to spoil the character that they bring in.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Oh, okay. But Superman and Lois is turning out to be an amazing show. Season 2 is it doesn't seem to be suffering from the CW-is of it all. So it's the most un-CW of all the CW shows.
Right. I mean, it's a slightly different angle, having the family angle. I mean, they've had him being married before, but now married with kids raising in Smallville is a slightly different angle.
Yeah, and it's there's definitely a lot of character growth. But there's there's very little like teen drama, I mean, there was a little bit last couple
episodes. I agree with you on that, but almost anything with the kids is teen drama.
Yeah, but look at the other CW shows is all teen drama. I mean, it's just
right. I hear you.
Yeah, it's even the non-teens. They're all acting like,
right. 40-year-olds that act like teens.
Yeah. Oh my God, does he like me? Does he not? We put Drew to sleep.
I'm up. I'm awake. So Hitman is just like, well, I'm kidding. I was totally awake the whole time. I was just saying.
So just real quick, looking at, I know, Drew, you're not reading the new books.
Okay. Leo, I'm just saying, compared to the old books, I feel new stuff has lost a little of that imaginative luster. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, but I mean, we are going to be going into a big event this summer with DC.
Dark Crisis.
And Drew, I felt like for the last 10 years, and I brought this up recently behind the scenes, talking with Justin, like Batman just seems like he's, in the last 10 years, a lot of the storylines, he's just like an abusive cop, and he's really mean to his family, and he just doesn't seem like as fun a character as he once was, or intriguing. He just seems like, I'm beating everyone up, I'm putting them in traction, blah, 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 over and over again.
Well, I mean, to me, I felt that that's like some of the fun was definitely kind of found more in like the New 52 Batman. Like I very much enjoyed that. Especially because not only did you have, more of a horror aspect because, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, their work is very much, very referenced in horror. But you know, it was fun. It was amusing, you know, kind of rewriting the mythos while still keeping a good story. But I do agree, there are some Batman stories where he's nothing more than a thug in a costume beating the shit out of, you know, wrongdoers. And it just, at the same time, you know, when I think we can all agree, when it's a good Batman story, it's great. When it's a great Batman story, it's wonderful. When it's 100% iconic, it stands the test of time. I just think that a lot of Batman stories, they get lost in that it's another Batman story, you know?
Right. Bleed. It's not necessarily memorable. You might have enjoyed it while you read it, but 10 months from now, are you going to remember what that storyline was about?
Exactly. So it's the same thing that we see a lot with movies, you know? Yes, they're good today, but are they going to have that 30 years later? They're still going to have the big fans, the way that, you know, a lot of 80 movies are still critically loved and praised and such. So, yeah.
Just real quick, Justice League, we're 3 issues away now of the big 75 where they're killing off the Justice League. Um, Nightwing, I've been hearing some good things about.
Oh, yeah.
On the Marvel side, Superior 4. There's nothing really, I mean...
Listen, on the Marvel side, Leo, the thing that everybody's really is looking forward to is this giant mega crossover Judgment Day, which is supposed to kind of close the Jonathan Hickman era of X-Men, where essentially you have the Eternals versus probably what I think will be the Avengers and the X-Men. So it's going to be, supposedly it's supposed to be really good. It's just, again, it's going to have a lot of tie-ins, it's going to have a lot of parts. And if you just, you know, if you just don't want to, it's like, I'll wait for the trade paperback.
Now, Drew, I see up there in the corner there, they've got Strange Academy, which you say you're a new fan of because that you're not burnt out on. Now, is that just kind of the New Mutants but magic?
It's. I originally it was kind of looked at like it's Hogwarts for Marvel students.
Okay.
What I just like about it is it's a fun book where, you know, the characters written feel like teenagers, you know, learning how to do magic properly from some of the greats of the Marvel universe. And, you know, they make mistakes like kids, they act like kids, they get in dumb squabbles, and the humor is pretty good. Again, it's just nice to have a fun book. You know, it's kind of like how like I enjoyed Wolverine and the X-Men back in the day when it was just like, I was like, okay, like instead of, you know, oh, X-Men constantly dealing with death, you actually see them in class trying to learn stuff, and you know,
I gotcha.
So, kind of felt like that.
Nice.
Also, Iron Fist, they rebooted. I read that the Iron Fist is going over to the Disney Plus. I believe Disney Plus has taken all the Netflix shows. And I believe they've announced that all characters are entering the MCU.
Nice, because I really, that was the one thing that disappointed me about them canceling Iron Fist, was that the next season they were going to introduce the female version of Iron Fist.
Right. Yeah.
Which, and I didn't really see it like they were just like throwing, oh, it's a gender swap. Like, no, it made sense to the story. So I wanted to see the evolution of that.
Yeah.
Alas.
Well, the important thing is, you know, regardless if you're reading, you know, Marvel, DC, Indie, new books are still coming out. So definitely, you know, support your local comic shop and go get your pull list.
We have a free comic book day coming up soon.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You will not find the Demon in any of your pull lists.
No.
But
What if you're picking up back issues?
That's true. You might. And this is definitely one of those back issues that I would love for some random person to flip through and be like, I'm sorry, what? So obviously I very much know this story. Obviously. But I'm really interested to see what you guys thought of it, kind of walking in blind to both Etrigan and Tommy. So, I guess Leo, the best thing to probably do would be kind of start with the annual and then work your way over to the Hell's Hitman, since in that series they're clearly already acquainted with each other.
Yeah, I believe the annual starts in this graphic novel.
Yes. Yep. There he is.
There we go. So the listing that I had, it said everything started with the issue 40. But we will start with the annual. Drew, why don't you take us into this? Tell us about the annual and why is it special?
Okay, well, it's really important to note that this came at a time in DC during an extremely weird storyline. You had an attack by aliens who were quite fond of sipping human spinal fluid the way that some people sip water or soda. So the thing being is, during this time, you had what I think DC was trying to do was create a new generation of superheroes, because a lot of the people didn't survive these attacks, but some discovered that they actually had some sort of latent metagene in them, and then they would develop powers. Some went on to be forgettable 90s heroes. You know, Bloodlines is pretty much looked at as kind of an embarrassing story in DC's past. Kind of one of those footnotes that like, oh yeah, that happened. Yeah, it did. Moving on. The thing that was really great is that you then have the occasional gems like this, in which you have the eternal war between Jason Blood, who, as for those who don't know, was a knight in King Arthur's, or knight or person in King Arthur's circle, who was bonded to a demon, whose demon's name was Etrigan, who was the half brother of Arthur's favorite iconic wizard, Merlin. So essentially, Blood and Etrigan are bound together. Without one, the other can't survive. So, for instance, if Jason Blood is separated from Etrigan, he will actually start to age his actual age, which is about a couple of thousand years. Naturally, these two despise each other. Their working relationship is pretty much professional, and that's not even properly encapsulating it. So they have to work together whether they like it or not. And in this issue, we see the illustrious Tommy Monaghan trying to do a hit, because he is a hit man. It's not just a pun. But is interrupted by this lovely, gigantic mass of a creature named Glonth, who is one of the aliens that we spoke of. Glonth clearly has a problem where he likes snacking on the humans. Snacks on him so much that he just can't seem to stop. It's his version of Pringles. Unfortunately, Tommy survives his attack by Glonth and wakes up with a few interesting powers, specifically the ability, one, to be able to read people's thoughts, and two, limited X-ray vision. Naturally, since he basically feels like now he's a freak. Oh, and also Glonth did the activation of his metagene has made his eyes completely black. So in the future, he wears sunglasses, such as self, because he finds that normal people find his eyes rather unsettling. So, fair enough. Yeah, honestly, it's a pretty interesting story. The thing that's really wonderful is that the writer for this, Garth Ennis, and the artist, John McCrea, who would continue their collaboration essentially through a lot of Garth's run on the Demon, later then would take Tommy, who would become a popular enough character, and he'd get his own series that they both wrote together pretty much almost the entire thing through. Naturally, as you can tell, I'm a fan. But the thing that you got to love about Garth Ennis is the way that he makes Etrigan rhyme. And for those who don't really know the character, Etrigan is what's called the Hell's Hierarchy, a rhymer. He is a demon who specifically can only talk and rhyme. So everything he does rhymes, which is pretty funny when you see some of these quips, especially when he's making fun of his opponent Glonth, or
serious amount of fat shaming in this.
There's a lot of fat shaming in this. Like this is one of those that really probably couldn't be made now, considering how sensitive people are about such things. But not gonna lie, there is one thing I'd like to point out that I am glad changed from the character over time. As much as I very much love Tommy Monaghan, as you can tell, I'm really glad he ditched the scarf later on. The red scarf. I just like, why?
So, question for you, since the only knowledge I have of the character is reading the stories for tonight. Is this the same Hitman that they made the video games out of?
No, completely different person, and that's a common question. No, that is that Hitman is a separate entity. This is a professional vigilante, and essentially an anti-hero. Tommy Monaghan is still a mercenary, no matter what good he does. The funny thing with Tommy Monaghan is that despite being a mercenary, he still adheres to some sort of personal code. And in this story, you see a lot of characters that would essentially show up later. Like, for instance, here, Noonan's is his bar, which is run by Sean Noonan, who is essentially not only the proprietor of the bar, but it's kind of like a surrogate father to Tommy. These are all things that would be fleshed out in the Hitman series. And it's funny, in the series, Etrigan would make a cameo in one of their later storylines. But yeah, so you see that, you see the Dublez brothers, you see Jason Blood, all of that. It's still pretty interesting overall, but it's definitely very much a product of the 90s. And I'm really more curious to see what you guys going into it blind thought. So take it away, guys.
Rich, do you want to kick it off, or do you want me to kick it off?
No, I don't mind. Drew, I see. I am very familiar with Etrigan. I actually had the first 1 through 6 of the original Kirby run.
Nice. How was it?
Amazing in every way.
Well, it's hard.
So yeah, especially going into this part of the story, like you said, Drew, this bloodlines. I didn't love it. I do like the way they draw Etrigan, which is what I'm not familiar with. But other than that, I did not love the storyline. I love that he rhymes. I mean, that's his thing. So I like the writing in that. But other than that, I don't know. And then I was also wondering, Tommy Monaghan and I know it's the DC versus Marvel, but is that the same name of the Hitman that's in Hit Monkey?
No, separate one.
Okay. All right. Sorry. My confusion.
No, it's all good.
Confusion.
But
now, while I enjoyed the second half of the story that didn't involve this one shot was a little more interesting to me. But again, compared to going against the Kirby original stuff, it just paled in comparison for me. So,
I think the thing that was really tough is that you still had to be within the lines of Bloodlines. You still had to kind of be within that theme. But I think it's one of those that out of something forgettable, something incredible could come. Because again, without Bloodlines, we wouldn't have had Tommy Monaghan. We would have had Hitman. Right. So you have that. I just think it's so funny that you have Tommy, who later on is established. He was brought up in an orphanage that was run by Catholic nuns, so he has that Catholic background. You have this kid who killed people for money, but even again with some sort of code, and he's teaming up with literally a demon from hell. Like you can't make that kind of stuff up. But
and it did have high points. Like right here, you've got the whole choir boy commandos.
oh yeah,
where the
don't get me wrong.
demon has bamboozled some
Televangelists.
churchgoers, evangelists, and they actually do some serious damage to Etrigan with holy water and all these weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So it had a couple. Like I said, it wasn't horrible. It's just I guess just the comparison to the classic was really hard for me to take.
That's fine. I mean, again, the annual is one thing. That to me, I feel is just essentially we're creating Hitman to then be used later. Mm-hmm. The Etrigan series, is a weird book. I mean, you cannot just give this to somebody like, oh, here, you've got. And for me, I was always more interested in the side characters a little bit more. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Etrigan because he's such an asshole, but he's a demon from hell. So, I mean, would you expect anything else? But for me, I thoroughly enjoyed, that this horrible relationship he has with Jason Blood. You have the talking pillow, Harry,
right?
You have that.
I love with a couch. How can I compare myself against a couch?
Exactly.
And then, like you said, you have this demon from hell who's pretending to be a crime lord. You have these people who are so bought into money and the commercialism of faith that they don't realize that they're literally sleeping with the devil. And then, like I said, for me, the mythology that every city had a demon, to me, was the coolest thing. And especially you would think, oh, that's true. Then Gotham has got to be a nasty fuck. Yeah. And it was. And like, again, I think the real thing is that a real credit to Garth Ennis is that he makes the rhyming for Etrigan look so easy when it's not.
Oh, no. That's a serious amount of sitting down there and writing it again and again and again.
Right. But, it's just so great. But, and there's even, I think my funnier moments is when you see things like again, I love Etrigan, but I also love the Tommy moments here. Like you see him playing cards, and he basically tries not to use his powers, and then he also explains why later on he's constantly drinking. It's the dull of the intensity of his new powers, I mean, again, this is just, to me, essentially what I love about this book is that it's a fun book. That's the best thing about it. There is a lot of violence. There is a lot of death. There's a lot of mayhem. I mean, the demon really, it's gleeful watching him work, but it's just a fun book. Like you don't really get offended by it. You're just kind of there for the ride,
Right. And so what did our resident nice guy think, Leo?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite book so far, but definitely had some excellent moments. I was a little thrown off by Etrigan, trying to figure out his pretty much where he was going. It's like when he got designated the Hell's Hitman, like everything changed, and it seemed like he was at some point, it seemed like he was the anti-hero, then he was just killing everybody. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to figure him out, like where he stood, and there was really no solid place.
Oh, he's a demon. He's the point being is that no matter what Etrigan does, Etrigan prevails. It's always got to work to his advantage. He got this job. It was just an extra reason for him to kill Astaroth. That's basically what it was. I think my other favorite was you have these guys when the televangelist has him pay money for swearing.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's 2000. I'm like, I can't. These greedy fucks.
Right. Or was the fun where the guy's hands are all burnt up? He's like, I can't even scratch my nose. What am I going to do now? So Etrigan
bites his nose off.
Bites his nose off. Problem solved.
I think probably I can only imagine what Leo must have thought when when Etrigan is just chilling with his buddies in hell, and he finds out he's going to be a dad too. So you have that juxtaposition that Jason Blood is freaking out because he's knocked up his girlfriend because Etrigan admits that he interfered with that. So he's like, I am scared, not because I'm going to be a dad, because of what Etrigan's going to do to my child. And then Etrigan finds out he's going to be a father, and you're like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, that was fucked up.
But like I said, for me, I also thoroughly enjoy anytime Tommy is there, just because he just approaches everything with just this uncannily wonderful sense of humor. I mean, most people would be scared out of their mind. He's already met Etrigan, so he's literally gambling with a demon he's like, listen, you got to pay me. And every time he just keeps upping the price.
The other thing I found interesting is talking about the history of Gotham, where the first house
that was interesting.
Yeah, in like
the Gothodaemon. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the town's always been cursed.
Well, and I think that's the thing is because it's one of those things you don't really realize. Because again, you just think, a city can't be bad, and we've seen that in, like, for instance, I thought when I read it again, I thought of City of Demons when, John Constantine met the physical embodiment of Los Angeles.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're talking how I'm a representation of everybody, both the good and the bad. And you have Gotham has always been referred to as like a tough town. It's not the greatest city in the world. It's one of the more infamous ones. And then you see that this kind of the history, that it's always been a fucked town from the first murder. It's kind of the Kane of DC cities,
Mm-hmm.
It was the original Maddie. I will also say this. I love anytime Tommy will just use his telepathy, and you'll just see the total ridiculousness. Like when he was looking in Tweedledee, Tweedledum. Like, I bet they're thinking the same thing. And he literally looks the other one. It's literally gonna start. It's like, okay, stop. Or even this one, he's like, I bet this guy's gonna waste me. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna waste him. He's like, all right, well. Another great Tommy moment is when he's in the graveyard and they see the Gothodaemon rise, and he's like, okay, 50,000.
Yeah, he raised it.
I mean, I think again that to me was frightening. You're thinking Gotham's demon, and then you see the thing, and you're like, wow. Although one of the best moments in that was Tommy pointing out, that demon does kind of look like a bat. And I was just like, you have to understand that's amusing, because later in the Hitman series, Tommy Monaghan has a very unique relationship to Batman. So that is, with that context, it's very funny.
And did they kill off the Tommy Monaghan character, Drew? Or
you know what? You got to read the series, Rich. I'm not going to tell you anything. But
so he doesn't exist today, or he does exist today?
No, that I can say he does not exist today. But I will say he had a great run. I own all of it. But oh my god, it's just. I think the other scary thing was like there are so many little Easter eggs of things that I'm just like, I'm sorry. Like, there's so many things that are referenced in this series that I feel like you have to read it kind of more than once, because Garth throws so many zingers in his script. And then John writes it with a kind of like, it's almost like it's a twisted cartoon. The way John McCrea's style is, it's detailed, but it's animated. It's like if a Hanna-Barbera cartoon got drunk and then did a shit ton of drugs.
All right.
Really?
What?
I just heard like Alexa or something like that.
Yeah, all of a sudden this box opened up on my screen and just I don't know what happened.
But
Bizarre technology.
Did Alexa just summon a demon?
Could have.
I don't know. But also, speaking of a demon, I feel like I have to, and I sent you guys the photos for it.
Hunter
I have to give credit because I do know someone who did a really great Etrigan cosplay. So this is someone I know. Rich, you also know this person.
Yeah,
This
it's
is Justin. Yeah, there's Justin Bowen, or on Instagram, Jack Squat JB Cosplay. He does this, and this is the Etrigan from later. So this is more of the New 52 Etrigan. But it's still essentially the same Etrigan, you know. That design really hasn't changed much. I mean, if you ever seen him in real life, I mean, Justin really takes it to another level. He looks the part. He's very tall, big, menacing costume, and he will rhyme with the character. And it was really funny. I was at a convention where Justin was the demon, and I was sitting there having a private moment with James Robinson, you know, the creator of Starman, and we're talking. He's signing my books and whatnot, and then Justin just walks by as the demon, and James is just like he gets a photo with him, and he takes the photo, and I was just like, nobody will ever believe my private moment with James Robinson was interrupted by Etrigan. And I took the photo, and it was posted and everything, and I was just like, I can't, like, no, like, it was one of those where I was like, even when I became Tommy, I was like, no one's gonna believe it. No one. Oh yeah. So I did that one when I was a little thinner and clean shaven. When I went to New York Comic Con to meet John McCrea, who is the artist for this, and he was also the artist for the Hitman series, he loved it. Both him and Garth, I've met both of them as Tommy. They knew exactly who it was. They took photos. They signed everything I brought. They love meeting Hitman fans. They said that John said that he loves that he still sees fans to this day, because they did this back in the 90s, you know, like both of them have clearly moved on to other characters, but you know, they're both really, really nice British writers. And honestly, I got to say, support anything they do. Please do.
Nice.
But this whole story was just fucking nuts. And it's funny because I feel like, to me, as a Hitman fan, this is like the prequels to Hitman. Like, a lot of this story established a lot of characters subtly that would become bigger characters in the Hitman series, while also just continuing this idea that Etrigan is a fucking nut.
Well, this was first appearance of Hitman, correct?
Yes, this the annual 2 is the first appearance of Hitman, and then the Hells Hitman was his second. Yeah, and then he has another storyline in the Demon where Tommy shows up again, which is, I have to say, I think it's even crazier. It might be even crazier than Hells Hitman, because Leo, you get to meet Etrigan's son. And when I say son, I'm talking, this is a horrible fucking creature. like the design may haunt you forever.
So does he eventually release it upon Earth?
You got to read it to believe it, buddy.
Okay.
No spoilers.
Listen, you know, got to be the change that I want to see in the world, or some shit like that.
There we go.
So,
Drew is the anti-Reddit.
hell yeah. But what I have to say, you know, what did you think? Because obviously I'm biased. I loved it, but, you know, I'm really interested to see what you think, like, overall, the whole arc.
Well, before we get into the actual numbers, one thing we do like on Dork Night is, we say, is this something we would recommend or not? Because, we can say, 2.75, 3.75, whatever crowbars it is, and we will rate that. But is this something that we would recommend to somebody to check out? And for me, definitely, it was a fun read. There were a couple things that were a little crazy. The couch cushions I could have done without. I love that little weird thing he threw in the microwave, that like
the thing that never dies.
Yeah, the My Little Pony type of thing, whatever it was.
Told you it's literally a thing that never dies. That's literally its name.
But yeah, it was a fun read. Etrigan, reading his rhymes is just it's hilarious and definitely a breath of fresh air. My only introduction to Etrigan was, I think he was on Brave and Bold for an issue or episode.
He was 2 episodes, and in that one he also rhymes too, which is just as great.
Yep. So yeah, fun read. I definitely would recommend somebody check it out.
Rich, you go.
I would recommend it to a deeper reader. I would not recommend it to an introductory reader. I think that they would be too confused. It is super fun to read all the rhymes. So to a more experienced reader, absolutely. To an Etrigan fan, of course. That's my opinion.
And it's even for the newbies, and I know you said you wouldn't recommend it to a newbie, but it's takes place in Gotham. It's a known place. Yeah, so it is grounded a little bit.
I mean, that's the
opinion, Leo. You don't have to agree with it, okay?
I mean, funny enough, Leo, I agree with you. I think that's one of the things I also enjoy about it. Is it's a proof that not all stories in Gotham have to be Batman centric. I mean, one of the best things you could say would be Gotham Central, which was, yes, it was about Commissioner Gordon and his team, but it was about them. Batman really didn't play much of a role in it. And this one, this is a story that takes place all the time in Gotham, but we don't ever see Batman. So I think it's just I agree with Rich. Is I would not just off the mill if I feel like if I gave this to an introductory DC person, that's like the equivalent of saying, "Hey, do you love Futurama? I'm going to show you Jurassic Park as the first episode." The person will never watch the show. This is a lot for someone to handle. So I agree with Rich in that regard. I would give this to a deeper reader, maybe someone who has a little experience in the characters, maybe once. If someone loves Hellblazer, this is a pretty good. I'm like, oh, you like that? Here, read this.
Right, and we've seen that mix in the DC animated movies. We see Etrigan and our good man John Constantine dabbling and dancing together.
Yep, absolutely. So, but I mean, yeah.
And I do have to say, with reading this entire book, and this is available in graphic novel form, so definitely check Amazon or your local comic shop. But the ending story, the haunted tank, that did not really age well at all.
Yeah, it didn't, but it was still a pretty decent story. But again, unfortunately, it only did, in my opinion, I agree with you, Leo. It only really did well when Etrigan was there, because that kind of balanced it out.
Yeah.
So, but I was asked this, Leo, since this story is kind of like your introduction to Hitman, would you read more of Hitman? Or is Tommy Monaghan not your cup of tea?
No, I enjoyed his character. I definitely looked forward to his parts in the book. Jason Blood, he was definitely a sad sap type of character. But Tommy, yeah, it was definitely a, I found made, some of the scenes more interesting.
Oh yeah. Well, you gotta love a smart ass and a green jacket.
Yeah, and Jason leaving his wife. He's just an ass.
Unfortunately, you'd think being over 1,000 years old, he'd know how to handle relationships better, but he doesn't. But men and demons. What can we say?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you guys want to rate this?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 3.66. 3.666.
Okay, you funny.
I'm gonna do a 3.75.
I'm gonna give it a 4, simply because. But again, I'm biased because, obviously. But like I said, it's a good read. It's a good read. Definitely the kind of thing I feel like if you're drinking, this is a really good read. Because I feel like, especially if you're like, I might need a drink. I was like, Tommy would appreciate you. Grab a beer. Read.
Not only is it a good read, like I mentioned, the rhymes are a lot of fun to read, but the art is fun as well.
Oh yeah, John does great work, and he's maintained that through his entire career. He did this wonderful book with Jerry Dugan, who, as we know, Deadpool and such. I think it was called Dead Rabbit. I heard it was fantastic. So definitely check that out if you like John's work. He also did reunite after doing Hitman with Garth. He did reunite on some parts of The Boys. If I'm correct, I believe John was the artist for the first Hero-gasm series for The Boys. And if y'all don't know what that is, you kind of just like this series, you got to see it to understand. We can't tell you.
No secrets.
No, I just know The Boys TV show is extremely fucked up. But
Leo, when we get off, when we're off the show, I'll tell you briefly what Hero-gasm is. Yeah, the book's worse.
Worse than the Dolphins?
Yeah. Worse.
Oh wait, was it a dolphin or was it killer whale?
The beach whale.
No,
that he killed the whale.
Wasn't he? No, he was driving with one too, right?
Yes.
He drove with a dolphin.
Yeah.
They wanted to do bad things to him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
it's a naughty dolphin.
Yeah. So, but on that note, this was great, and I hope you all enjoyed.
Sounds good. Well, we'll wrap things up then. I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. Definitely, check our show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And for me, just Google Leo Pond, but I run a little thing called the Dorkening Podcast Network. We got a ton of shows on the network. A lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. And Drew, where do you like people following you?
I don't. But if you feel like you want to, I'm on Facebook, Drew Malo. I'm Ghostbuster Man 1984. Don't worry, you're going to hear that again. I do a lot of stuff for Screen Rant. I do a lot of stuff here for the Dorkening. So find me, hit me up. I might respond, I might not. I'm busy. Thanks for watching.
Velvet.
Hey, so you know me, I'm the Velvet Joker. You may have heard some stories. Some may be true, some may be not. You can find me at leopond at leopond.com.
With that, thanks for watching. Catch you guys later. Bye.
Peace out.
Peace out.